Hi, I'm Marc, and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on the politics in Africa and Arabia. More than 500,000 children in the Horn of Africa are malnourished, and the United Nations has called for support from the world community now. At a UN conference, $2.4 billion were raised to combat famine in the Horn of Africa. The money will provide life-saving aid to almost 32 million people in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia, as the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance, or OCHA, said on Wednesday. The famine in the region was averted thanks to the great efforts of local communities, humanitarian organizations, and the support of donors, they said. However, the amount raised is well below the $7 billion that the UN says is needed to alleviate the plight of people in the region affected by drought and conflict. According to OCHA, acute food insecurity affects more than 23.5 million people in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia. More than 500,000 children are malnourished, and according to the UN, the number of people dying of starvation in Africa is increasing due to droughts being intensified by climate change. And the emergency is far from over, they say. In order to avoid a return to the worst case scenario, additional funds are urgently needed. The countries of the Horn of Africa, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, and Sudan, are suffering the region's worst drought in 40 years. It has not rained in the region for 5 years in a row. As a result, crops failed and millions of livestock died. Millions of people are in acute need. The issue of hunger in Africa is complex and multifaceted, with several interrelated factors contributing to the problem. We hear about it over and over again. But widespread poverty is one of the primary drivers of hunger there. Many African countries face economic challenges, including limited job opportunities, low wages, and inadequate infrastructure. Poverty prevents people from accessing nutritious food and leads to food insecurity. Africa is highly vulnerable to climate change as well and experiences frequent droughts, floods, and other extreme weather events. These events can destroy crops, kill livestock, and disrupt food production and supply chains, leading to food shortages and increased vulnerability to hunger. The agricultural sector in many African countries faces numerous challenges, including outdated farming techniques, limited access to modern farming technologies, and inadequate irrigation systems. And these factors can reduce agricultural productivity, making it difficult to produce enough food to meet the population's needs. Several African countries have experienced prolonged periods of conflict and political instability as well, which can disrupt food production and distribution systems. Wars and civil unrest often lead to displacement of people, the loss of livelihoods, and destruction of infrastructure, exacerbating food insecurity and hunger. Africa has one of the highest population growth rates globally as well. Rapid population growth puts pressure on limited resources and agricultural land, making it challenging to produce enough food to meet the demands of a growing population. Lack of access to quality education and healthcare contributes to the cycle of poverty and hunger. Without proper education and healthcare, individuals and communities struggle to improve their livelihoods and overcome the underlying causes of food insecurity. Addressing the issue of hunger in Africa requires a comprehensive approach that focuses on improving agricultural practices, investing in infrastructure, promoting economic development, strengthening social safety nets, and supporting education and healthcare initiatives. International cooperation, sustainable development strategies, and targeted interventions are crucial for making progress in alleviating hunger in Africa. And if you want to know more about interesting topics from all over the world, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.